Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's great to be here with you today. Like Jason said, thank you for the introduction. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Maria Bocanegra. I'm the new president of Peoples Gas and North Shore Gas, based in Chicago, Illinois. And so if you don't know, I will take a moment to brag. Chicago's home to the best pizza in the world, the best Italian beefs in the world, the best baseball team, and now we get to say we are home to Pope Leo XIV. So as you can tell, I'm a very proud, lifelong Chicagoan. I grew up in the area and have spent most of my career in Chicago. Now, for those of you that don't know me, most of my career has actually been in public service. I was actually a utility regulator at the Illinois Commerce Commission regulating gas, electric, and water companies. So when I talk about the energy transition, infrastructure, and regulation, I think I bring the perspective of both the regulator lens as well as now the operator's responsibility. And so that brings me to this year's theme of ETS, which is ethos. And so I took some time to think about, what remarks could I share with all of you that might matter or might make sense. And so I thought it was an interesting topic and something that I feel I can opine on, being a new leader inside of an organization, having spent most of my career in public service. I've spent actually quite a bit of time thinking about leadership in the 21st century. I've thought about, what is our ethos? Where are we? Where have we been going as a company? And what does our future look like? So I think that the topic is pretty timely, and so hopefully some of the remarks that I share with you today resonate and might make some sense, but from the perspective of a gas company. So for me, ethos is more than just a concept. It's really character, it's credibility, it's the moral and operational compass that really guides leadership in uncertain times, and in many ways, it's not just what we say, but it's really how we show up. And I believe that ethos, particularly in the utility space, is defined by purpose-driven leadership, and that resonates very much with me, again, as a former public servant. So Peoples Gas and North Shore Gas are actually celebrating milestone anniversaries this year. So for us, I think that ethos begins with legacy and service. For 175 years, Peoples Gas has delivered energy to power one of America's greatest cities. And we have done so with quiet consistency, even as the city rose from the ashes following the Great Chicago Fire. Over the years, the company grew as the city grew, first providing natural gas street lamps as Chicago's first utility, and really evolving with the technologies and changing times, whether it was gas cooking stoves, furnaces, water heaters, clothes dryers. So you see, I think legacy matters. It shapes the credibility that we bring to today's energy transition conversation and really defines our responsibility to lead with purpose, not just with innovation, but also with integrity. And so as we celebrate our anniversaries this year, we like to say that we are proud of the past and focused on our future. Our credibility doesn't stem from chasing trends. It really comes from tackling one of the hardest jobs in the country, modernizing a Civil War era infrastructure under a bustling metropolis while continuing to deliver safe and reliable service. And as you know, the future seems to be changing every day as the world understandably moves away from its reliance on coal or other fossil fuels towards cleaner, more sustainable sources of energy, whether it's wind or solar or even advancements in battery technology. And so we know that transformation must be earned, not just promised. And for us, that means re-engineering our 19th century network for a 21st century decarbonization, methodically, transparently, and equitably. So what does purpose in an age of transformation look like for leaders like ourselves? But before I answer that, let's face it, utilities are by nature deliberate, predictable, and a little slow to change. And that, for the most part, is a really good thing. Predictability and reliability are two of our defining characteristics. Utilities like ours are often called boring. We embrace that. In fact, boring is our brand. Predictability and reliability are the highest compliments a utility can earn. But today we're being asked to do much more than keep the lights on or the heat flowing. Stakeholders at every level, regulators, legislatures, customers, investors, expect us to be climate leaders, community anchors, and infrastructure futurists. And that raises a central question for all of us. How do we modernize a system built for stability to meet a future defined by change? At Peoples Gas, we've taken that challenge head on. We are in the process of replacing 1,100 miles of leaky cast iron and ductile iron main in one of the largest gas infrastructure programs probably in the country. Last month, we just retired a gas main under Wabash Avenue, dating back to 1861, the year that the Civil War started. And why do we do this? We do this because we know that safety and reliability and sustainability aren't really options. They are pillars of a credible energy ethos. So, at this time of rapid change and increasing expectations, how do we as leaders steer companies that have built their reputations on being predictable, on being boring? And how do we modernize our infrastructure in a way that prepares for a more sustainable future at a cost that's manageable to ratepayers? In all, we have more than 4,500 miles of natural gas main servicing the city of Chicago, and I've already shared sort of the undertaking that we're doing to replace 1,100 of those remaining miles. We also know that at least in the city of Chicago, the cost to electrify is pretty cost prohibitive, even for some of our most affluent ratepayers, and definitely cost prohibitive for some of my most vulnerable ratepayers in the city. And so understanding that natural gas isn't going anywhere anytime soon, we still continue to upgrade our system with deliberate speed to address those ethos that I spoke of: safety, reliability, and sustainability. So rather than focusing on electrification as the central strategy, I believe that we can achieve our collective climate goals sooner and more affordably by implementing strategies that decarbonize our natural gas delivery system in parallel to efforts to decarbonize the electric grid. How? By eliminating natural gas leaks, thereby lowering emissions, working with customers to reduce consumption, and of course, increasing the use of renewables and lower carbon fuels. But leadership in the 21st century means that our ethos must include innovating with purpose. So in addition to reducing our methane emissions and upgrading our delivery system, our ethos shows up in how we are testing things like hydrogen blending and renewable natural gas. On the RNG front, we are currently injecting RNG into our system through a partnership with Green Era Campus on Chicago's south side. What this has enabled is the diversion of food waste that otherwise would have ended up in a landfill and is now helping to heat 2,100 homes with the capacity to double over time. It's also creating compost for community gardening in areas that are underserved and disinvested in the city of Chicago. And with hydrogen, we're testing hydrogen blends and confirming the safety of our detectors for 20% hydrogen integration. So we believe that we are preparing our infrastructure today so that we are ready for tomorrow. And we're not stopping there. I think perhaps for me, one of the most exciting things I can share is that our ethos is also showing up in how we are exploring the promise of quantum computing through our collaboration with the National Quantum Algorithm Center. It may be years away, but the ethos of a modern utility is one that is ready before the future arrives, not after it. And in that spirit, we're already looking closely at the possibility of artificial intelligence and the role it has in gas use forecasting and construction planning. So as we wrap up here, we have to ask ourselves, what does ethos mean in the context of 21st century utility leadership? It means recognizing that our character isn't defined about just what we deliver, but how we lead through challenge, through complexity, and through change. And let me tell you, sitting on this side of the aisle, there are definitely challenges and complexities that my companies are facing, and that really is where there is opportunity for that ethos to show up. It also means refusing to abandon communities under the guise of climate progress, and instead pursuing practical, scalable solutions that enable all of us to move forward. It means holding safety and service as sacred, even as we deploy cutting-edge technologies and rethink operating models. And most of all, it means leading with purpose. Because when your purpose is clear, your ethos becomes visible and your credibility becomes unshakable. And so I hope those remarks that I've shared with you today highlight a little bit about how we think about the theme for ETS this year, but also how we quite literally are evaluating ourselves as a company, myself being from the outside, coming into an organization and taking a look around. And so I thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference, and I hope some of this has resonated with you. But otherwise, thank you, and I'll turn it back over to ETS.